record. All right. Well, thank you so much all for coming. We've got our live stream on YouTube happening. And if you have any questions, feel free to raise a hand or unmute. But for the most of the time, I'm going to keep everyone muted. And then I'll do a little live Q&A. I like the quick and dirty. So no one has like extra time to be on here to just chit chat. So we'll wrap up around 4:30. Okay. And hopefully you just gain a little bit of insight into what is important as far as nutrition is concerned. I have some tools that you may already have access to, or maybe you've never thought about adding into your routine, just as far as gaining all that we truly need for health and wellness. So I'm going to screen share. And I did recently mess up my screen sharing option. So I've recently been doing it as like sharing a portion of my screen. Okay, you guys see this, right? Okay, good. This is better than I normally do, so this is good. All right. So just to introduce myself, if you don't know me well, my name is Des Gibbs, and I'm a holistic personal trainer, and I live in Huntington, West Virginia, and I have a private personal training studio. And I'd say probably in the last 5 years or so, I've delved a little deeper into the natural holistic side of things. And I feel like that has just really expanded, helped me expand my knowledge on what our bodies really need outside of just the exercise and staying healthy as far as our bodies are concerned, but really what's going on under the skin. I call it, we don't just want to be surface healthy or look healthy, but really what else is going on. So I brought in another company, if you've heard of doTERRA essential oils, and their supplements are really big with what I do and how I help my clients. So I use them a lot. And then also I am a certified functional diagnostic nutritionist, which is a super fancy way of saying health coach. And I can order lab tests to help you understand what's going on in your body. So I'm not diagnosing anything, but it actually just gives us numbers and facts to really see what's going on. So that's a little bit about me. But more importantly, let's talk about nutrition. So first things first, 2 questions here. Why are people around us and maybe even ourselves so sick? It's pretty well known that, processed foods, maybe it's our own lifestyle habits and things that we're doing that cause some of those issues. A lot of times it can be medicine that we have to take because we may not have the best health, so we need to be on some medications. Those oftentimes also cause some side effects that maybe we weren't told about, we're not aware, or our bodies just react surprisingly different to them than some other people's do. So that's something to keep in mind. And then secondarily, it's really interesting to think about, do you think we get everything we really need for good health from our food? If you ate a completely healthy diet, like I always say, we have these catchphrases, right? Like eat the rainbow and, have all these different colors on your plate. Do you still think we get all the nutrition value that we need? We don't actually. And it's kind of crazy because it's just changed so much. In short, really, we could think about maybe the last 50 years, maybe our grandparents. Our soil has become so depleted of the nutrients that were once embedded into our food from that soil that it's just now changed everything. Even if you eat organic or healthy diet, it just doesn't provide everything that we need. For example, you'd have to eat 8 oranges to get the same amount of vitamin A that was in 1 orange in 1950. I realize that's 70 years ago, but you know what I'm saying? So it's just crazy to see that, like, even I'm going to eat the whole orange so I get all the goodness and all the fiber. Well, just the nutrients are no longer in them. You'd have to eat 80 apples to get the same amount of vitamin C that 1 apple had in 1950. I really like apples, but I'm not going to eat 80 apples, right? So it just puts it into perspective that it makes it very, very hard to truly get everything we want. And then we have, as I mentioned, it's the unhealthy lifestyle that leads to illness, disability, and for some instances, even death. We have problems like metabolic diseases, joint, skeletal problems, hypertension, being overweight, and the list could go on, but they can often be caused by an unhealthy lifestyle. Then that unhealthy eating and physical inactivity are actually leading causes of death in the US. Almost 700,000 deaths each year are due to nutrition and obesity related diseases. That's mind-blowing to me and really sad. But that's why I like to help people find their best health and kind of educate on stuff like this. Also considering we have obstacles in our daily lives, like high stress levels, lack of exercise, quality sleep, nutrition deficiencies like we talked about, and even, exposure to toxins that are further endangering our health. So we have a lot of things to consider and a lot of ways that we can slowly start to eke into better nutrition and better health. One more slide on the bad things that are going on, and then we're going to take this for an upswing, okay? So among many things, what we eat has an impact on our health status, weight, and overall how we feel. And our specific nutrient requirements depend on a variety of factors. So this may not be the same for everybody, and this is from a study, because it varies based on our age, gender, how much we exercise, and our personal health circumstances. So keep that in mind. The nutrient requirements are determined by the amount of a vitamin or mineral needed to minimize a nutrient deficiency, right? And that's based on those factors I mentioned. So each age, gender, and group has a different, but we're using generalities here. So there is an estimated average requirement that will allow a person to compare their nutritional intake to the requirements. And this chart on this slide shows the amount of American adults who are not reaching their daily nutrition requirements. So 95% of American adults are not reaching the requirements for vitamins D and E. Nearly half of Americans are not fulfilling their nutrition requirements for magnesium, vitamin A, calcium, and vitamin C. So that is vitamins, right? But then I also wanted to segue, which aren't on these slides, to just mention the importance of the macronutrients, which is probably what most people are more familiar with. We have your fats, proteins, and carbs. So proteins are really the building block of health and wellness, like super important. And most people are extremely low on the protein, especially if you're working out. I would say the average person, this is a very blanket statement, the average person could increase their protein greatly and see benefits from that. If you're working out and you're not really seeing muscle growth, you're probably low on your protein. I tell clients anywhere from 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per body pound. So if you weigh 160 pounds, you're wanting to lean into about 160 grams of protein. So something to consider if you were to take that into consideration when you look at your diet. Carbohydrates. So if you are a female, we need carbohydrates. Don't do no carb, please. It messes with our hormones. And that's something that's kind of underlying that a lot of people don't think about. I generally lean into non-processed carbs. And of course, less processed, more natural is a much better route. But that being said, strawberries are a carbohydrate. Broccoli is a carbohydrate, but it's also a vegetable. So carbohydrates are not the devil. They have been super pushed into this terrible thing, but there's a lot of vitamins and nutrients in those things. And as females, our body uses that, and males do too, but especially as females, we got a lot of things going on under the surface. So just eat your carbohydrates. Just make sure they are the good ones, okay? And we could go more in depth on that as well. But I would say percentage-wise, Oh, off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of what mine are. I mean, I'll just go ahead and share. I try to go around 150 grams of proteins. I'm a lighter carb, but I don't really restrict them. So I would say, because I lean away from like, the processed ones, but I'd probably say around under 80 to 100 grams of carbs are in my daily. And then my fats are usually around 60-ish grams. So fat. If you eat fat, do you get fat? No. But that is a huge misconception due to some really handy or interesting marketing that happened around the 80s and 90s. Fat was bad. All things fat were a no-go. So that's something to consider. Our bodies also need fat. So please keep that in mind. You want to just think about having good fats. So we have avocados, olive oil, let's see, butter is not a bad fat. Just consider all of those things. Fatty fish as in salmon or steak, all great things, and that helps your body. And fat is very satiating as well. So it should keep you feeling full, much more so than a carbohydrate may do. All right. So we talked about the nutrition deficiencies. Can I help you find something? Okay. And I just wanted to mention whole food supplementation is extremely beneficial to our overall health. I would love for everyone, as I mentioned, to eat as many real foods as possible, but we're busy, we're on the go. So what happens? We may skip lunch. You know what's better than totally skipping lunch? Grabbing a protein shake, So I like to say as natural as possible when possible. And that's just real talk because we all get busy. We all make not the best choice. So if we understand that life happens and we're not going to be perfect every day, you just give yourself a little bit of grace and don't beat yourself up because you didn't stay on the plan, and everything's going to be fine. So whole food supplementation at the same time, you miss a meal, but you have a protein shake. That's great. But there's also supplements on the market that include whole foods and have whole foods in them. And that is an absolute game changer because what would you think your body reacts better to? Let's see, an actual apple, or maybe something created in the lab that tastes like an apple. Do you see what I'm saying? When you relate that, obviously we would all say probably the actual apple because it has the other vitamins, nutrients in it, but our bodies are so wonderfully made that it reacts differently to real things versus synthetically created in the lab. No matter how hard they try, it's not going to taste the same, right? So the benefits of obtaining our nutrients and supplementation from natural or those whole food sources can be a game changer versus always going to that synthetic lab created. That is not ideal. So the role of supplements in holistic wellness is really, really amazing. Let's go to the next slide. So our lifestyle choices are, of course, the foundation for our wellness. doTERRA in particular, that company that I use specifically, has really created a great way to pour into us and help us pour into ourselves to follow a pathway to improve our health and wellness. Enter the wellness pyramid. So I like to think of it as kind of like a Jenga game. We've all played, and someone removes that bottom one and it ruins the whole game because everything comes toppling down. That is the importance of having a strong foundation. And that goes in a lot of aspects of life. We can reply, if our foundation is not strong, everything we build on top of it gets really shaky. So focusing on, in particular, I would say the bottom two, for this sake of the conversation, we're talking about nutrition, but so important because, again, if that's not stable, nothing really goes as well as it should. A few things I wanted to mention before we get into some options for you to add into your life. We talked about the gaps in nutrition and where we just might be missing some things. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to mention gut health. So a lot of times people are just missing the overall benefits of their true wellness because we are missing those the best get. We're missing out, you know. Maybe we look back at the end of the day and we're like, I didn't eat one vegetable today. Cringe, but it happens, right? So that's where I just want to lean into how much and how important it is to have good gut health, and our nutrition goes hand in hand with gut health, right? You see there on the slide, and that's something I've believed, I think even before I got introduced to doTERRA, and they've got it on that basis, because if your gut is not digesting and pulling those nutrients from your food properly, imagine how much you could be feeding it, but if it's not soaking it up, you're not going to get that nutrition, even though you're putting it into your stomach, right? So really important to consider that. Few brief tips on gut health. And I've mentioned them in some of my things on Facebook, like not drinking a lot of water when you're eating a meal. I have to admit, I did the exact opposite. I would sit down at the table if we were out to eat, and I'm just slamming the water because I'm like, they say drink water, drink all the water. So why that is not great, you may be getting water and that's a good thing, but why that's not great is we have stomach acids that are constantly working. As soon as something, even when no food is in our stomach, but as soon as food gets into our mouth, actually, it begins to break that food down and we start that absorption process. So if we are now diluting our stomach acids with a ton of water, do you think they're going to work with the potency that they should? Not at all. So that is one thing. Oftentimes after eating, people tend to have a lot of bloating or things like that. It can honestly easily be changed by minimizing your water or liquid intake with food. Honestly, if you're going to drink something, maybe a little red wine, or if you need to drink something, like a sip or two, but just not a lot. Another thing for gut health, I actually touch on it on some later slides. It's a supplement. I think almost everyone could benefit from a digestive enzyme. It's not something I take with every meal just because of where I'm at with my health and wellness. But if digestive health is something you struggle with, you may want to consider including a digestive enzyme. It does not make you go or run to the restroom, but it literally helps you break down the foods that enter your system and then again help with that absorption. There's a really interesting video out there about someone using, there's like some crusty, nasty looking oatmeal that's like super dry, and they pour the digestive enzyme over top of it, and you can just see how it begins to just break it down. So it's really incredible. Imagine if that's what's happening in your stomach, maybe if you're eating something that you normally don't, or something that you know takes you longer to digest. Like for me, it's typically steak, or if I have heavy on the carbs, fake carbs like a pizza or something like that, that's when I use those digestive enzymes, and they're very helpful. Lastly, we have an actual test that we can see what's going on in your gut, and it's called a GI map. So it's a stool-based analysis test. You literally send off a sample of your poo to the lab, and then I get the results back. We can see what's going on as far as any sort of dysbiosis. And by dysbiosis, I mean you could have too many things in your gut. A lot of times people can have, not a lot of times, I'd say I've seen it a few times, people have an overgrowth of probiotics. Maybe they've been on a probiotic forever, but they still have a ton of gut health. Well, I'll tell you what, we should see what's actually going on in your gut, all right? So you could have parasites, H. pylori is super common, all kinds of things. And then we just use natural tools to help bring the balance back. And people tend to find a lot of relief when that is done and the plan is followed through. It's not a quick fix, but it can be a lifelong fix. I've had people say, you know, they haven't had solid stool, or they're so constipated, and then after going through the protocol, depending on what we find, it's a game changer. So it's really incredible what you can do, and then how much that just helps your nutrition and your health overall. Okay, so now moving into some of the specific things from doTERRA that I think have been a game changer that I want to make sure are educated on. And this is something I bring up with every client, and that I think brings another level or layer to wellness. So the Lifelong Vitality, or LLV, these were created to help you hit your optimal levels, like I talked about, for your body to have cellular longevity and cellular health. A lot of vitamins on the market are consistently measured to contain more than 50% of nothing. Like nothing that your body can actually absorb, or nothing that it benefits from. So, you know, a lot of times people are like, oh, this is cheaper, I get this at Walmart. It does nothing for you. So if you're not feeling a difference, I challenge you to stop taking what you're taking and try these products, because I feel like they are truly a game changer. And so we have, I don't think I go into specific details, so I'll just do a quick, I have the rundown here. Alpha CRS, it's a blend of polyphenols and antioxidants, 17 different herbs and blends, and very high quality. Again, doTERRA does the whole food. So your body is actually seeing it and it's more absorbable. The Alpha CRS gives you a lot of energy and you'll feel better throughout the day. The XE Omega is 3, 6, and 9 fatty acids. It's a fish oil and essential oils to help preserve the fish oil and their potency. I'll say if you've ever had any issues taking fish oil, some people tend to like burp it up later and then it's that fishy smell. I've never had that issue with doTERRA's. And then if that is something you struggle with, you could always put them in the refrigerator or the freezer, and people can have better results and not have that kind of secondary burping. But this helps brain and joint nourishment, which is really valuable. And then we have our Microplex VMZ, which is the multivitamin. So this is, again, whole food sources, no synthetic fillers or anything junky in there. That bioavailability is high. doTERRA is an essential oil company, but this is their #1 selling product. So if that doesn't tell you something, I think that is very telling to the benefit of adding this in. And my favorite thing about it is that they have a 30-day money-back guarantee. I don't know what more you need than that to know that if you try this and it doesn't work, or you don't feel better after 30 days of consistently taking it, don't just take it for a few days and then say it doesn't work, that you will notice a difference. So I think that's pretty awesome. All right, moving on. I said I'd keep you here for 30 minutes. So we have that digestive enzyme. It's called Terrazyme. 10 critical digestive enzymes for whole food enzymes. And this is going to help you get the nutrients from your food, and can also help soothe any discomfort you might have while eating. The PB Restore and the PB Assist are 2 really amazing products with post, and another one, I don't have it written down, enzymes in the probiotic, and also phages. It's a very high level probiotic where I think you actually feel some difference if you are lacking in that. If you've been on steroids or what's the other one? Antibiotics, you definitely need a probiotic. And I would never go on either of those without taking a probiotic at the same time, right? Well, not at the same time. You actually need to take them apart from each other, but don't do an antibiotic or a steroid without doubling up, because that can cause a lot of gut issues. Moving on, we're going to fly through this. We have doTERRA's fiber. A lot of people are low on fiber. Adults should be getting 28 grams. The typical amount that people are getting is like 4, right? Because we're not eating a lot of vegetables, we're not eating a lot of whole fruits, and that's where the bulk of our fiber comes from. So this is just a fiber supplement. Everyone reacts differently to fiber, so I say just start slowly. You may just add like half a scoop to a smoothie. It actually tastes good on its own. And it has like a lemon ginger flavor, or maybe even a little apple in there if you take it by itself. I haven't had it by itself a lot. But it also doesn't thicken up like that Metamucil stuff. So it's a little bit more delicious than that. Then doTERRA has greens. Again, I lean into that natural, the whole food. But if you can't get that in, or you're not a green lover, you don't eat vegetables, then you need to supplement. An easy scoop of this, again, tastes great on its own, but you could add all of this together in a smoothie and just knock it out with one easy shot, right? But the recommended intake could be anywhere from 5 to 13 servings. This is going to get you at least half of that in one scoop. So really great option if you feel like you're kind of low on your servings. Next, we have the protein. Why would you need to supplement protein? We already talked about that earlier. It's a problem, okay? Most people are not getting enough. So I really like doTERRA's protein as a personal trainer. It's something I take every day and encourage my clients to, especially if they're looking on and wanting to build muscle, but also not have carbohydrates, but they need to improve their protein. And honestly, you can only eat so much chicken. You know what I mean? It's just sometimes I've like had a piece of chicken in my mouth. I'm like, I don't think I could, I can't have any more. So you just need something else. And doTERRA protein's a really great option for that. It's a whey protein, 22 grams. There's no gluten, soy, GMOs. They're pasture fed cows. And they also have a vegan pea protein that gives you 21 grams. I'll be honest, it's not as good as the other, but if you have a problem with whey, then they have an option for you. All right, there are more supplements. We're not going to talk about these today. Honestly, the Deep Blue Polyphenol Complex helps with joint and muscle discomfort. If you're a regular Advil or ibuprofen taker, please don't. Let's talk, right? Turmeric capsules, improving inflammation, helps with free radicals. Anybody stressed in life, right? That's where your adaptive calming capsules can come in. Really powerful tool to help you just chill out a little bit, right? But it's legal in all 50 states, so you can take it anytime, okay? So it's a really great tool. That's probably one of my favorites. And then if anyone struggles with sleep, that's a big thing that honestly can impact you on a whim. Sometimes you just don't know why. So if you are having trouble with sleep, there's some other things that we could discuss to improve your environment. But this is a blend of essential oils, including lavender. Really, really powerful. Lots of studies have been done on the benefits of lavender in your body. So those are probably my favorites. A few about hormone levels. If you're getting to that period, all of us could benefit from balancing our hormones. I also test for your overall hormones, stress hormone, and your cortisol levels and sex hormones. Really interesting stuff there. And this would be if someone knows that something's not balanced or you're maybe getting into those menopause years, then this would be a great suggestion also. Lack of energy, Mito2 Max is a very balanced uptick in energy. I keep it here at my studio because I hit that 3 o'clock slump and it's not pretty. So just a very even kill, no flutters in the heart or anything like that. All right. So a few of you are already members with doTERRA and enjoy the benefits, but if you're not, there's 2 ways to get started. The enrollment fee is usually $35, but when you sign up with someone who works with doTERRA, a wellness advocate like myself, that's waived for the first year. And then you get a lot of other benefits, but you also get everything at wholesale price, which is super, super valuable. And then there's an option better than wholesale. This is using our loyalty rewards program. And basically you get points back every time you purchase, which is amazing. I get 30% back on every order now. I'm like, that's great. I mean, before I know it, I have a ton of points and I can buy most of my supplements with it. So it's really powerful. A few things that I wanted to highlight that might be in your wheelhouse. Of course, we could have individual conversations to see what works for you. These are specialized kits that I actually didn't even talk about the MetaPower today. I skipped that slide, but this is what I actually have most of my clients start with. It's the Healthy Habits Enrollment Kit. And the basic of things we talked about, a deep blue rub for aches and pains, and 5 really great essential oils. And I believe that is $185 off the top of my head. So this is truly an investment in yourself, and it really pays the best interest, excuse me. So it's something that I found really powerful and valuable to my own health, but also to all the clients that I've been able to help over the years. So thank you so much for joining and just having the time to be here and experience this information. If you've never heard of doTERRA or just are interested in general things about improving your overall wellness, I'd love to continue that conversation with you and help you balance things out a little more. So thank you so much. Do you guys have any questions? I usually stop recording. Let me see if I can do that.